Episode 56 WA, July 22nd, 2024. Industrial wood pellets demand and supply in 2027 unless a change made. In Episode 56 WA1 United States. New York Times Climate Forward Newsletter. Kamala Harris pursued polluters as Attorney General in California. 2 United States. Doctoral candidate debunks fossil fuel claims, peddled by podcaster. The cool down. I like that this guy thinks that the only alternative to burning fossil fuels is burning wood, Rosh responds in his TikTok. What century is he living in? Rozep view sarcasm, irony, and satire don't work on the page because the writer's ironic tone is not captured on page, although it could be inferred by a tone of voice in a TikTok video. This writer below assumes that readers will know he is being ironic, and the writer below assumes readers will know that he actually doesn't like the guy who thinks the only alternative to fossil fuels is burning wood. I like that this guy thinks that the only alternative to burning fossil fuels is burning wood, Rosh responds in his TikTok. What century is he living in? 3 California, 4 Colorado, 5 Connecticut, 6 Idaho, 7 Minnesota, 8 North Carolina, 9 Oregon, 10 Pennsylvania, 11 Texas, 12 Canada, 13 Australia, 13A Australia. Industrial wood pellets demand and supply in 2027 if no change made. Substituting wood for coal in power stations doesn't reduce CO2 emissions. John Minadew's Public Policy Journal published a July 21, 2024 article by Peter Sainsbury. Environment. Burning wood in power stations doesn't help the climate. Pearls and irritations. Wood chips burn in a furnace of generation plant. The living, not our forebears, have put most of the CO2 into the atmosphere. Substituting wood for coal in power stations doesn't reduce CO2 emissions. Wood for coal trick. 14 United Kingdom. 15 European Union, 16 Russia, 17 Nigeria, 18 India, 19 Indonesia, 20 PM 2.5 and Human Health. Main content, 1 United States. New York Times Climate Forward Newsletter. Kamala Harris pursued polluters as Attorney General in California. Excerpts edited by Rozep for brevity and clarity in relationship to residents against wood smoke emission particulates, a 501c3 nonprofit organization. Vice President Kamala Harris has for years made the environment a top concern, from prosecuting polluters as California's Attorney General to casting the tie-breaking vote as Vice President for the 2022 Inflation Reduction Act, the largest climate investment in United States history. Ms. Harris is widely expected to try to protect the climate achievements of the Biden administration, a position that could resonate with voters during a summer of record heat. A clear majority of Americans, 65%, wants the country to focus on increasing solar, wind, and other renewable energy and not fossil fuels, according to a May survey. In contrast, former President Donald J. Trump made the United States the first and only country to withdraw from the Global Paris Agreement to limit greenhouse gas emissions. Mr. Trump has indicated that he would again pull back if he is elected in November. Republicans have targeted the Inflation Reduction Act, promising to overturn it if they win control of Congress and the White House. That law pumps more than $370 billion over 10 years into wind, solar, batteries, and electric vehicles. It is designed to help the country move away from fossil fuels, the burning of which is driving up global temperatures. At their convention last week, Republicans promised to halt any transition away from oil, gas, and coal, and to promote more fossil fuel development. Asked if Ms. Harris would pursue the policies she supported as a senator, like the Green New Deal, her climate advisor said she would focus on implementing the Inflation Reduction Act. Daniel Turner, executive director of Power the Future, a group that advocates for fossil fuels, called Ms. Harris part of the climate cult that calls the shots in today's Democratic Party. 2 United States. Doctoral candidate debunks fossil fuel claims, peddled by podcaster. The cool down. I like that this guy thinks that the only alternative to burning fossil fuels is burning wood, Rosh responds in his TikTok. What century is he living in? Rozep view sarcasm, irony, and satire don't work on the page because the writer's ironic tone is not captured on page, although it could be inferred by a tone of voice in a TikTok video. This writer below assumes that readers will know he is being ironic, and the writer below assumes readers will know that he actually doesn't like the guy who thinks the only alternative to fossil fuels is burning wood. I like that this guy thinks that the only alternative to burning fossil fuels is burning wood, Rosh responds in his TikTok. What century is he living in? Excerpts edited by Rozep for brevity and clarity in relationship to residents against wood smoke emission particulates, a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We have so many alternative energy sources now, and a lot of them are actually much cheaper than fossil fuels, he continues, citing information from the International Renewable Energy Agency published in 2020. According to the organization's report, solar photovoltaics demonstrated the steepest cost decline from 2010 to 2019 at 82%, falling from $0.387 per kilowatt hour to $0.068. That trend continued into this decade, with PV costing just $0.0636 per kilowatt hour in 2022, more than 4 times less than gas, which costs $0.2691 per kilowatt hour. Wind power may not have dropped as drastically as solar energy, but data from IRENA found that newly commissioned onshore and offshore wind projects in 2022 cost $0.033 kilowatt hour and $0.081 kilowatt hour. Replacing the costliest 500 gigawatts of coal capacity with solar and wind would cut annual system costs by up to $23 billion per year and yield a stimulus worth $940 billion, the study added. So this guy is either incredibly ignorant, or he's deliberately trying to mislead his audience, Rosh concludes. As with any subject this divisive, many commenters challenged Rosh, while others supported him. Please keep making content. I'm loving your sensible take on all of these antiquated ideas, one person wrote. He knows the difference, his audience don't, another said of the podcaster. That's how these grifters make money. They prey on the uneducated. 3A California Chico. Where there's smoke, there's likely a reporter. Editor's notes. Chico Enterprise Record. Where there's smoke, there's likely a reporter. Woodbeams mark milestone in campfire recovery. Letter. Surprising. 3B California South Lake Tahoe Ordinance should make community more fire resistant. The Bard Express News. The third zone requires homeowners to remove piles of deadwood and heavily overgrown areas within 100 feet of their home, even if it means sharing it. California South Lake Tahoe ordinance aims to make community more fire resilient. CBS News. The ordinance breaks down into a 3-zone system. The first zone requires homeowners to remove dry brush, shrubs, wood piles, or anything flammable. 3C California Redding. California wildfire smoke making skies above Redding hazy. Record searchlight. Wood said by Saturday afternoon, the winds are expected to shift to the south, and that should help blow some of the smoke from the wildfires out of 3D California San Gabriel Valley. Large fire burning in San Gabriel Valley causes air quality concerns heading into weekend. CBS News. Residents should also avoid burning wood in their fireplaces or fire pits. Anyone who must be outside is urged to wear a face mask. 3E California. Smoke from California fires to bring more hazy skies through Saturday. See the map. Record searchlight. Wood said Friday morning. Wood said by Saturday afternoon the fire, burning southwest of Greenview off Highway 3 in Siskiyou County. 4A Colorado. Bird ignited by electric equipment blamed for starting fire in Byers. YouTube. A fire that destroyed one home and several other buildings is 4B Colorado. Cerro Colorado landfill fire city of Albuquerque. The air quality program continues to monitor the situation and has not seen elevated smoke levels to require a health alert. Wood burning is not allowed. 5A Connecticut. Smoke from wildfires causing moderate air quality in CT Wednesday. CT Insider. PM 2.5. Parts of northwestern Connecticut and the north-central part of the state were marked in green for good air quality. More for you. NWS smoke from wildfires causing moderate air quality in CT Wednesday Milford Mirror. PM 2.5. Parts of northwestern Connecticut and the north-central part of the state were marked in green for good air quality. Moderate air. 5B Connecticut New Fairfield. Autopsy suggests New Fairfield woman found dead in fire didn't die of smoke inhalation, expert says. News Times. Wood Creek Road home. Emergency personnel responded to the single-family residence following a call about heavy smoke and fire in the area around 6 Idaho. Air quality expected to worsen over weekend. Environment Megaton Express. Idaho Mountain Express. Air quality in the Wood River Valley is set to decrease to a moderate level this weekend, largely thanks to wildfire smoke drifting over the 7 Minnesota. Minnesota wants to be carbon-free by 2040, but it still hasn't decided what that means. Star Tribune. Burning questions. Minnesota Power has a modest-sized biomass plant called the Hibbard Renewable Energy Center, and wood burning is responsible for 8 North Carolina Brunswick Bolivia. Bolivia resident is seeking justice for fish kill, blames nearby wood burning from development. Port City Daily. Terry Bolt believes the fish kill is due to ash in the water from wood burning as construction is underway at a nearby development. 9A Oregon Ashland. Air quality alert issued through Monday for Jackson County. Community-supported, non-profit news Ashland News smoke from wildfires in Douglas County prompted issuance of and maintain good indoor air quality by avoiding smoking inside, using gas, wood. 9B Oregon Douglas County Tri-City. It's wildfire season. Tri-City officials need you to be prepared. Tri-City News. Including campfires, open fires, wood-burning barbecues, fire pits, and appliances. But propane barbecues are allowed in most city parks. Except at 9C Oregon. Air quality alert in effect for Klamath and Lake counties until Saturday afternoon. Oregon Live. Avoid using wood-burning stoves and other sources of indoor smoke if possible. DQ's color-coded air quality index provides current air quality. 9D Oregon Medford. Crews respond to structure fire on East McAndrews Road. Kate RV crews with Medford Fire and Jackson County Fire District 3 responded to the fire, which is now out. Avoid using wood-burning stoves and other. East McAndrews Road reopened after structure fire Saturday. KDRV. Avoid using wood-burning stoves and other sources of indoor smoke if possible. The Medford Fire Department and Jackson County Fire. 10 Pennsylvania Lewistown. Controversial camping topics guaranteed to start an argument. Lewistown Sentinel. Modern RVs have solar power, bathroom facilities, comfortable beds, and small kitchens. Some are even equipped with small wood-burning stoves. To call. 11 Texas San Antonio. Stellantis tells owners of over 24,000 hybrid minivans to park outdoors due to battery fire risk. San Antonio Express News. A photo of the Lotto Texas logo from the Texas Lottery. Business E shutdown of Riverwalk restaurants would burning grill sparks claim for millions. 12A Canada Alberta. Over 150 wildfires burn across Alberta, many out of control. ROSEP View. Should ROSEP start calling itself Resident Advisors Against Wood Smoke Emission Particulates? Forest Economic Advisors. Of the fires burning within Alberta's wildfire protection areas, 51 are burning. FEA compiles the wood markets news from various third-party sources too. 12B Canada Alberta Rocky Mountain Region. Wildfire smoke blankets parts of northern Alberta, Rocky Mountain Region. CBC News. Wood Buffalo and Fort McMurray areas, as well as Edmonton. Poor air quality is forecasted to last through the weekend in those places. The Index. 12C. Canada Alberta St. Albert. Update. Heritage Lakes home in ruins after house fire. St. Albert Gazette. The smoke was so thick that it completely shrouded. Albert Fire Prevention Officer, in an email. Fire Services reminds residents to always practice fire safety by ensuring wood-burning fire pits are. 12D Canada Alberta Wood Buffalo. Evacuation alert John Veer Regional Municipality of Wood Buffalo. Regional Municipality of Wood Buffalo. Alberta Wildfire is leading wildfire operations and are providing updates on these wildfires on their app and website here. The smoke could impact 12E Canada British Columbia. Right in the center. It doesn't make sense. Nipawa Banner. Wood-burning facility. Drax also owns, or partially owns, 8 of B.C's 12 pellet mills and is responsible for 80% of the province's 12F Canada British Columbia New Westminster. New West firefighters extinguished 2 brush fires in one night. New West record. New Westminster Fire and Rescue Services has banned smoking, candles, tiki torches, and charcoal and wood-burning barbecues in parks because of 12G Canada British Columbia West Fraser Mill in 100 Mile House. Rozeb View 100-mile house is where a mother handed out 100 purple air PM 2.5 monitors. Silo fire extinguished at West Fraser Mill in 100-mile house, BC Forest Economic Advisors. As of Monday, BISAT said that the cause of the fire was still unknown. FEA compiles the wood markets news from various third-party sources too. 12H Canada Manitoba Nipawa. Right in the center. It doesn't make sense. Nipawa banner. Wood burning facility. Drax also owns, or partially owns, 8 of B.C's 12 pellet mills and is responsible for 80% of the province's 12I, Canada New Brunswick St. George. String of 911 calls from neighbors, bystanders save burning home in St. George. St. George news. Smoke and flames are visible when the fire extends into the attic. The array of fuel sources feed the flames that can spread among the wood. 12J Canada Ontario Hawkesbury. Are you smoking out your neighbor? Mirage news. Burn only dry, aged hardwood in your wood burning heater. Unseasoned wood has lots of moisture, which causes a fire to smoke. Store your wood off. Hawkesbury residents are being asked to help improve air quality by checking they are using wood burning heaters correctly. 13A Australia. Industrial wood pellets demand and supply in 2027 if no change made. Substituting wood for coal in power stations doesn't reduce CO2 emissions. John Minadou's Public Policy Journal published a July 21, 2024 article by Peter Sainsbury. Environment. Burning wood in power stations doesn't help the climate. Pearls and irritations. Wood chips burn in a furnace of generation plant. The living, not our forebears, have put most of the CO2 into the atmosphere. Substituting wood for coal in power stations doesn't reduce CO2 emissions. Wood for coal trick. Rozeb View. John Lawrence Minadou, born 1935, is an Australian businessman and public commentator, and formerly a senior public servant and diplomat. He served as Secretary of the Department of Prime Minister and Cabinet from 1975 to 1976, working under the Whitlam and Fraser governments. In 1983, he became the Secretary of the Department of the Special Minister of State and the Secretary of the Department of Trade. Excerpts edited by Rozeb for brevity and clarity in relationship to Residents Against Wood Smoke Emission Particulates, a 501c3 nonprofit organization. The national delegates at the Glasgow COP meeting in late 2022 agreed to phase down unabated coal power. That was the best they could do. Not phase out rather than phase down. When wood is burnt, it emits roughly the same amount of CO2 as coal. However, a loophole in the international rules for calculating national CO2 emissions results in the emissions from burning wood in power stations not being counted in the power sector's emissions. Rather, they are counted in the land use emissions. The measurement of land use emissions is very dodgy and open to lots of interpretation and fudging at the best of times, meaning it's easy to lose the burnt woods emissions in the land use sector's mess. But it gets worse. If the wood burnt has been imported, the emissions are counted in the land use emissions of the country the wood came from. Hey presto, the power stations are emitting just as much CO2 as when they burnt 100% coal, but only a fraction of their emissions are counted by the power sector and the nation that does the burning. The demand for the wood pellets that go into power stations is expected to almost treble between 2017 and 2027 to 36 million metric tons. The countries that log the trees and export the pellets are equally culpable in this sleight of hand. The USA, Russia, and Canada are the main producers, but Australia is fast becoming a significant contributor, as are countries with tropical forests such as Brazil, Mozambique, Vietnam, Malaysia, and Indonesia. Basically, it's a conspiracy of many nations' politicians and bureaucrats to obfuscate their nation's true emissions so that they, and their fossil fuel mates, can carry on with business as usual while appearing to be doing something about climate change. Most crimes against humanity are really crimes against a bit of humanity. John Donne aside for a moment. Perpetuating climate change is a crime against the whole of humanity. CO2 emissions 1850 to 2022. The graph below shows the annual emissions of CO2 in megatons, CO2, from 1850 to 2022 by region of the world. 3 issues stand out. 1. There was steady but relatively slow growth in total emissions during the 100 years between 1850, 204 megaton, of which the UK emitted 60%, and 1950, 6573 megaton, an increase of about 65 megaton per year. 2. Emissions started to increase rapidly after World War II, and by 1975 the world was emitting about half of what we currently emit each year. 3. Between 1950 and 2022 the increase in emissions averaged about 420 megaton per year. This demonstrates that although we talk about the fossil fuel era beginning with the Industrial Revolution in the mid-18th century, the world took 200 years to go from 0 to half of our current annual emission rate, and less than 50 years to increase from half to 100%. It wasn't our Victorian and early 20th century forebears who have created the climate crisis. It is us, the generations alive since the mid-20th century. The next graph is similar but shows cumulative, rather than annual emissions. Although the East Asia and Pacific region is now the largest annual emitter, Europe and Central Asia and North America have still pumped the most CO2 into the atmosphere, although maybe not for much longer. The countries in these 3 regions, although not all of them, share the responsibility for the pickle we're in. The 4 regions at the bottom of the graph have collectively emitted only 255 megatons CO2. The next 3 graphs, snapshots from an animated sequence in the link, show for 1950, 1975, and 2022 the total CO2 emissions for that year and the emissions of each of the 10 major emitting countries. The emergence of the USA, then China, and more recently India as the major emitters reflects their industrialization and growing economic heft. Peter Sainsbury is a retired public health worker. 13B Australia Victoria Melbourne Ferntree Gully. Crackdown on the sale of illegal firewood. Ferntree Gully Star Mail. Wood smoke, as well as who is most vulnerable, alternatives to wood heaters, and what can be done to reduce if you do use a wood burning heater. 14A. United Kingdom Yorkshire. Log burner fine. UK wood burner and stove chimney rules. Yorkshire Evening Post. The regulations on wood burners vary across the UK as councils try to ensure cleaner air for all. The Environment Act 2021 gave local authorities more power to issue fines for excessive smoke emissions from wood burners and other solid fuel. 14B United Kingdom. Reason given for factory fire which led to huge smoke column billowing into sky. Express and Star. The fire started at a two-story factory on the Hastingwood Industrial Park in Wood Lane, Erdington. Plumes of smoke could be seen coming from the 14C United Kingdom Birmingham Solihull. Wood burners and Birmingham airport pollution among concerns of choking Solihull residents. Birmingham Live. Wood burning, communicating with residents efficiently. Air quality monitoring, the need for routine and live air quality monitoring. Traffic huge fire roads update as 999 crews still at scene into a second day. Birmingham Live. Smoke plumes could be seen across the city skyline as a unit in Wood Lane was closed off at the junction of Bromford Lane. Tyburn Road 14D United Kingdom Birmingham. Wood burners and Birmingham airport pollution among concerns of choking Solihull residents. Yahoo News UK. Wood burning, communicating with residents efficiently. Air quality monitoring, the need for routine and live air quality monitoring. 14E United Kingdom. No one hurt when apartment building catches fire in Manchester. YouTube. ESSE Ironheart wood fired cook stove, eco-design compliant. ESSE wood burning stove restoration metal rescue. 15 European Union and wood smoke flavorings. Opinion. The past, present, and future for smoke flavors in the EU food bev media, wood raw material associated with wood smoking. Liquid smoke flavoring and smoke condensates are similar to chemical preservation using 16 Russia battles forest fires amid another hot summer. MSN. A drone view shows smoke from wildfires rising above A. 17 Nigeria. Nigeria targets clean cooking to curb air pollution. Daily Post Nigeria. Firewood burning is a notable contributor to biomass pollution, as over 68.3% of all households in Nigeria still depend on wood for cooking. 18A India. Reasons why non-smokers are getting lung cancer. Ahmedabad mirror PM 2.5 levels. Dr. 18B India. National Clean Air Program blew up 6,806.15 rupees crore on dust control, neglected key areas. Telegraph India. PM 2.5 ignored in NCAP though the pollutant kills thousands in major cities and country. More than 4,600 per year in Kolkata. 18C India. Air pollution crisis. Air pollution crisis. Congress blasts Modi government's policy, demands budget action. MSN. Our cities need at least 10 to 20 times more funding. NCAP must be made a 25,000 rupees crore program. NCAP must adopt measurement of PM 2.5 levels as. 18D India. India's air pollution crisis result of policy chaos. Jairam Ramesh, National Herald. PM 2.5 which is far more hazardous, he said. Also read, 2/3 of NCAP funds used for dust. 18E India. Delhi residents could lose 11.9 years of life to pollution. MSN. PM 2.5 data imply that human activity plays a key role in generating severe particulate pollution. That is likely because the regions. 18F India. Why are most lung cancer patients in India non-smokers? Pune. News. PM 2.5 levels. Dr. Nathani added that lung cancer affects a large part of Indians due to passive smoking as well as genetic hereditary. 18G India. Why are most lung cancer patients in India non-smokers? The Hans India. PM 2.5 levels. Dr. Nathani added that lung cancer affects a large part of Indians due to passive smoking as well as genetic. 18H India. Post-Diwali air quality worsens in 9 out of 11 cities. Delhi leads. Study. MSN. NCAP tracker analyzed PM 2.5, fine particulate matter, data for 11 capital cities, viz. Bengaluru, Bhopal, Chandigarh, Chennai, Delhi, Gandhinagar. 19 Indonesia Jakarta. Prepare masks. Jakarta air quality enters an unhealthy category on Saturday morning. Voy. The same site notes that PM 2.5 concentration in Jakarta is currently equivalent to 12.2 times the annual air quality guide value of the World Health. 20 PM 2.5 in psoriasis. Long-term air pollution exposure doubles psoriasis risk, study finds. News Medical. Air pollution data, namely for fine particulate matter with diameters less than 2.5 for example, people in the most polluted areas for PM 2.5 had 21 PM 2.5 in smart home devices. These are the 6 most used devices in my Alexa-based smart home. Tech Radar. It's capable of measuring particulate matter PM 2.5.